All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, it's that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. Week number 14 we're in, and things for me did not get started on the right foot as I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to go on the road and beat the Minnesota Vikings this past Thursday night. But the Steelers put themselves in a big hole early on. Most importantly, they could not stop Vikings running back Dalvin Cook. And because of that, that's a big reason why the Vikings got the dub in that one. But with that said, there are some very important games on tap for tomorrow as well as the Monday night affair. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 14 in the 2021 NFL season. Now, a big one in the AFC North is you're going to have the 8-4 Baltimore Ravens traveling to take on the 6-6 Cleveland Browns. The Ravens are definitely looking to get back on track after they lost a heartbreaker last week on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, the Browns were off. And it really wasn't that long ago that these two divisional foes met a couple weeks ago on Sunday Night Football, as it was Baltimore who won a defensive struggle. You look at both of these teams, they can get after you defensively, but it's going to come down to the play of the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, of course, for Baltimore, and Baker Mayfield for Cleveland. Who's going to be able to make the plays and who's going to be able to limit their mistakes? These games in the AFC North as a whole, they are so contentious this year. All of these teams are battling. All of these teams have enough to make the playoffs. And you look at that when teams are so even, you really have to minimize your mistakes. But I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one by the score of 27-20. Now you're going to have the 2-10 Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to take on the 8-4 Tennessee Titans. The Titans come into this game off of their bye, but they're also looking to get back on track as Tennessee's lost their last few games. And if you're on a losing streak like Tennessee is, and you have aspirations of doing things in the postseason, what better time to welcome the struggling Jaguars to town? And also, along with all of the infighting that we're hearing about from the Jaguars right now as well. You look at the Titans, and I know that they are dealing with a slew of injuries, but again, this game right here with the Jags couldn't have come at the better time. And I think Tennessee uses that to get back on track. This is going to take the Titans at home by the score of 27-19. Now you're going to have the 6-6 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Arrowhead to take on the 8-4 Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs, they're looking to put some distance between themselves and the rest of the AFC West. Kansas City right now, they're on a 5-game winning streak. They're doing it with their defense. Probably been the biggest surprise to a lot of people. The Raiders, they've been up and down, and it seems like as soon as you're ready to write them off, they find a way. And then when they find a way and you think they're going to get it going, they don't. So that right there to me is the making of an up and down team. Too much up and down stuff going on for the Raiders right now. The Chiefs, they have a lot of cohesion, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I expect them to force at least one turnover from Raiders quarterback Derek Carr in this one. And because of that, I'm going to take Kansas City at home by the score of 27-23. Now at the Meadowlands, you're going to have the 5-7 New Orleans Saints taking on the 3-9 New York Jets. New Orleans comes into this game favored by 5.5 points. But it's one of those right now. The Saints, they're dealing with some injuries, and it's tough to see where their identity is going right now. On the flip side for the Jets, you know what? This to me, I think it's tailor made, set up for the Jets to play spoiler for the Saints in this one. And I think the Jets rise to the occasion. And I'm going to take Gang Green at home by the score of 24-20. Now, a big one in Maryland is you're going to have the 8-4 Dallas Cowboys taking on the 6-6 Washington football team. And don't look now, because if Dallas loses this game, things could get very interesting in the NFC East. You look at quarterback Dak Prescott and what he can do. But then on the flip side with Washington, they have so many injuries right now. Also, they're dealing with several key players in the COVID protocol on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Dallas is going to be able to take advantage of that. And I'm going to take the Cowboys on the road by the score of 24-17. Now you're going to have the 5-7 Atlanta Falcons clashing with the 5-7 Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. Both of these teams are in the mix for that final wild card spot in the NFC. But you look at Carolina right now, they have so many question marks at the quarterback position. And because of that, I expect the Panthers to be in the market for another quarterback next year, whether it be in the draft or free agency. For the Falcons, just when you want to write them off, they find a way to rise to the occasion. And I think this game is going to live up to that for Atlanta. Thus, I'm going to take the Falcons on the road by the score of 31-20. Now, you're going to have the 4-8 Seattle Seahawks traveling to take on the 2-10 Houston Texans. Seattle comes into this game favored by 8.5 points over Houston in this contest. The Seahawks, they won last week in a wild one against the San Francisco 49ers, and now they're looking to put it together for a couple of weeks in a row. Russell Wilson, of course, is back at quarterback for the Seahawks, but as each week goes along, the Seahawks lose somebody else, and now this time they're going to be without the services of safety Jamal Adams for the rest of the season. But so many issues for the Texans right now. They're going with Davis Mills for the rest of the season at quarterback, and I think Seattle's going to be able to take advantage of that. This, I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one by the score of 24-16. Now you're going to have the 1-10-1 Detroit Lions traveling to take on the 6-6 Denver Broncos. Denver comes into this contest favored by 11.5 points. But it's one of those, should the Broncos be worried about the Lions? Because the Lions finally got the monkey off their back last week as they got their first win of the season. But you look at the Broncos in this game, I think they're going to be ready. I think they're going to be poised, and I think they're going to be charged. And there's going to be a lot of emotion at that stadium tomorrow, as it's the Broncos' first game and their first home game following the unfortunate passing of former Broncos receiver Demarius Thomas. And Demarius Thomas was a legend for this organization, helped them win a championship. And of course, he made some memorable plays. And I think there's going to be a lot of emotion for this organization. And I think I'm going to take the Broncos in this one, in a tight one, 24-20. Now you're going to have the 4-8 New York Football Giants traveling to SoFi to take on the 7-5 Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers come into this game favored by 9.5 points over Big Blue, and rightfully so. The Giants' offense has been anemic at best. I mean, you have to go back to week 7 to find the last time that a wide receiver or running back for New York actually scored a touchdown. They're going with Mike Glennon once again at quarterback for the Giants. They only scored 9 points with him last week. And honestly, the Chargers could score 9 points in one quarter. Because of that, I'm going to take the Chargers to roll at home by the score of 27-10. Now you're going to have the 6-6 San Francisco 49ers traveling to take on the 7-5 Cincinnati Bengals. San Fran comes into this game favored by 6.5 points, but I think this contest is a toss-up, and it comes down to the health of Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. We saw Burrow injure that pinky finger on his throwing hand last week in the loss to the Chargers, and that's going to be the key for this game. Both of these teams, like just when you think they're ready to turn the corner, they take a step back, or vice versa. I think this game is a toss up, might be the biggest toss up of the weekend, but I'm going to take Cincinnati at home by the score of 27-19. Now, down in Tampa tomorrow afternoon, you're going to have the 7-5 Buffalo Bills traveling to take on the 9-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for Buffalo, they suffered that heartbreaking loss versus the New England Patriots this past Monday night at home. And now, what do you get the following week? You get the defending Super Bowl champions on the road. Tampa, they're looking to hit their stride. And on top of that, they're looking to close in on winning the NFC South. Of course, we know what Tom Brady can do at quarterback for the Bucs. He's getting more of his talent around him at the skill positions, and that's going to be important as they look to put some stress on this Bills defense. On the flip side for Buffalo, will they be able to throw enough and score enough points to keep up with the Bucs in this one? We know that Bills quarterback Josh Allen has a big arm, But I think the worst thing for Buffalo in this one is if they move the ball and their drives stall. They have to find a way to take advantage of the injuries in the Buccaneers secondary as they're looking to get back on track. Buffalo's offense will be better than it was on Monday night, but it's still not going to be good enough to win. Thus, I'm going to take Tampa Bay to hold serve at home by the score of 34-23. Now, on Sunday Night Football tomorrow night, you're going to have the 4-8 Chicago Bears traveling to take on the 9-3 Green Bay Packers. Green Bay comes into this game favored by 11.5 points, and rightfully so because Aaron Rodgers does own the Chicago Bears. The Bears, so many injuries, so many issues on offense, and honestly, I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels like this, but Bears head coach Matt Nagy is on borrowed time as the Bears and the Packers right now are in two different leagues. And because of that, I'm going to take Green Bay at home by the score of 31-17. And finally, on Monday night, a big one in the NFC West is you're going to have the 8-4 Los Angeles Rams traveling to Glendale to take on the 10-2 Arizona Cardinals. And in this contest right here, the Rams have to be in must-win mode because they've already dropped one game this year at home to Arizona. And if you get swept by Arizona, you're going down 3 games in the standings, but relatively 4 due to the fact that you lost the season series and the regular season is going to end before you know it. For the Rams, their defense really has to step up to the challenge first and foremost. They've got to find a way to get after Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. And on top of that, you look at the matchups in the Rams secondary. You got Duke Hopkins going up against Jalen Ramsey. So that's a toss up right there. But it's the other matchups with the other players that the Rams have in their secondary. Those guys have to find a way to step up and make plays, make impact plays. Will Von Miller, the newly acquired Von Miller, have an impact on defense for the Rams in this one? We'll have to wait and see. But on the flip side, Matt Stafford, the Rams quarterback, is he going to be the Matt Stafford that we saw at the beginning of the season, or is he going to be the Matt Stafford that we've seen up and down the last couple of weeks? We'll have to wait and see. The Rams will be game in this one, but the bottom line is the Cardinals are the better team, and I'm going to take Arizona by the score of 30-23. So, folks, those are my picks for here in week number 14. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.